Welcome everyone to our remote viewing target of the week discussion. And this week's practice discussion is going to be a personality profile per se on Jesus. There is not a picture up here, as you will notice, just Jesus's name. And it's going to be interesting to see what each viewer got. And we have a few sessions that were retasked. And thanks everyone for being here, for sending in your sessions. And Lynn Buchanan is with us as we review these. And some people would say that, yes, we have biblical record and historical record and some cross-referencing between historic texts. But then some people would say that we can't actually prove any of these things. It's not like you can go out and touch a physical man-made or something. So they would say this is an esoteric target. So I thought that that would be something that Lynn would, I'm sure, have some interesting things to say about as we went through this evening's session. But now this is your feedback, so there's no images to scroll through, no text to take the time to read. So I'm going to minimize this and start pulling up some sessions. There's the feedback. All right, I just have them kind of lined up here. I don't think Linda's here. She was going to try. This is all she sent was her feedback, which I will read so that it's recorded, and people who are listening, from iPhones can't manage the text on this stuff. So she says she started working this target on October 8th, didn't finish, came back on the 19th. Wanted to start fresh, but found that her mind wouldn't exactly repeat itself, so she blended the two sessions and renumbered the pages. Experiment with stage 5 is taught by Morehouse, and next time she'll try to do the whole session at one sitting. So right now she has a problem with that. And what do you think about waiting days to resume a session? Does it get easier to take a long break and resume right where you left off? So we can talk about taking a break here in just briefly. The target location feels like a very interesting, lively place outside with lots of visual stimulation, colors, structures, views, and things to explore. Feels festive and clean, well taken care of. The land seems uneven. Some of the unevenness seems man-made. Water seems involved here, either contained in a drainage or irrigation system. There is something that seems to carry water downwards. She is having AOLs with water park, irrigation system, and causeway. There's the idea of an engineering feat like an overpass or spillway. It feels like a place of passive entertainment, no big bands, a place to walk and observe and enjoy. I sense a range of color, browns, reds, tan yellow, and gray-white. Good contrast. I have the impression of plants, including plots of garden flowers and trails or walkways going around in circles or winding paths in the area. Air feels warm and moist. I smell water and dirt and plants mostly. I hear birds and creatures. Textures span the range of gritty, rough, smooth, damp, velvety, cool, and smooth. Seems to be a boundary similar to a brick fence or a wall that runs in an irregular pattern around most of the area. Sometimes it slopes upwards and goes around. There seems to be a variety of structures made of wood and metal scattered about the area. The area may have a memorial statue on it commemorating a local event. There may be something like a large concrete stairway winding upwards. I experienced being up high, suspended in some kind of conveyance with cables attached. Curvy below like a mountain road, dynamic feeling and exhilaration. And then she's included her actual session after that, so you can see her sketches. I probably could find something to have retasked her with. Oh, I know she's probably not going to be here anymore. I just remembered because she holds classes with students on Wednesday, and they wanted to meet on Wednesdays. But Lynn, I know I'm whipping up through this. Do you have anything you'd like to comment on that I could pass on to her? I mean, I don't see anything that I specifically equate with what I have known or read about Jesus per se. lots of location stuff. So I could have done that, I think. I mean, if nothing else, she could have had retasking practice with location stuff. And maybe if I could have started picking up some things that would equate the Middle East. She has a lot of data, just not much of anything that I equate with Jesus himself per se, as we have typically been taught about him. So I am going to delete that session shortcut so I know I'm making progress. Let's see. And then Terry's here. She does not have a retasking, so I'll go ahead and work with hers. 13 pages just came in, and she's got a POCA of, looks like partridge. Could make this a little larger. Okay, she's indicating that curves and seems to be wound around and around and tightening. She comes from a center point creative woven life. She's getting deeper into sight contact and perception. Opening web-like, whitish shimmering in a whole spider web. Around but not circular exactly. Okay. She's got touristy and there are people milling around. It's a thing, and something comes out of it. And we're getting toward her summary here. She's got points and spikes. Grayish, hard, strong iron metal, and there are many of them. Sort of reminds me of the door on the tomb pictures. But all right, her summary. The target has aspects of man-made, biological, and motion. Man-made consists of a spherical object which has a hard-shelled exterior and a hollow center. There is thickness to the shell. The shell is smooth, almost pearly, and light-colored, is formed or molded with a single material that creates a grid pattern with lines running both vertically and horizontally. It is raised between each crisscrossed line. It is dark within the hollow center. There are heavy, solid, sharp, iron-like, conical-shaped spikes protruding from various points around the sphere. The spikes make it difficult to reach the shell. Biological. The man-made sphere seems raised slightly above the heads of the biologicals, which can view it from below. It feels like biologicals want to place their hands on the sharp protruding spikes. Hands seem important to this target. Hands may be touching the spiked exterior. There is a male biological involved with this target. He seems to be either handling the man-made sphere or wishes to touch the sphere. Motion. There's a grid-like interwoven pattern affiliated with this target. It may be the pattern of the sphere. Blue and green coloring seems to be involved with this target. Something affiliated with the target seems to involve repeated layering around and around, over and over. This purpose of this layering may be to contain something within. The layering seems stringy, like some sort of light material is involved with this process. Overall, there's an exploratory, displaying quality to this target. Something may be held up for viewing or inspection. Let me get the chat area up here too. So I can see folks and see if there are questions getting put in. Terry, where are you? There you are. I know you've been kind of on leave for several weeks, busy with other things, and you wanted to try and do the session and get it sent in. Do you have anything you want to talk about or questions to ask? Or Lynn, do you want to chime in about anything? She doesn't seem to be picking up on anything as far as wrapping the body for the tomb or whatever. I kind of thought for a moment that maybe the winding around and stringy, like long strips of cloth or something, but I didn't seem to pick up anything there. Y'all are very quiet tonight. Well, Terry just typed in, "This is embarrassing, but I know little about Jesus." I don't think you had to fight any pollution then, or imagination. What do you think, Lynn? I'm beginning to think Lynn is like not with us. Lynn? Lynn?
Sorry, I left a note. I sent it to all attendees. It's got to go to all panelists, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I had a little emergency in the house.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you need to go? Is that what I meant?
Well, I'm back. Back temporarily, at least. But I may have to
bow out again
a little bit at some point. Anyway,
okay.
So anyway, I missed everything from about the middle of that first page that you brought up.
Well, if you want to just take a minute and look at her summary, it really says it all. And the sketches, she's got like one I can show you that looks like a wheel with some spikes. But she really has a decent summary here. It I think has her whole session there. And I'll just be quiet and let you look at it. Can you read it okay?
Yeah.
She says that she's not really familiar with Jesus a lot. So I said, well, I probably didn't have to worry too much about imagination with this. But I promised I'd be quiet so you could read.
No, you'll go ahead and talk. I'll read. Looks waving a mace. Looks like somebody's waving a Roman mace around.
Yeah. But
I don't think anybody's going to want to touch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you actually able to scroll on the session and go up and down?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so, but I thought, oh, well, maybe I was not aware of that functionality. I guess I was kind of, go ahead.
Of course, on a target like this, an esoteric target, where almost all of the information you get has passed through so many cultures and so many people who want to make it whatever they want it to be. Oops. Excuse me. What's the matter with this thing?
What?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, okay. then it's very hard to give any feedback at all.
Right.
What you would have to do here is the target was Jesus. And so what you would have to do is look at the part that says biological.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the other, if there's location description,
right,
that you can feed back on.
That's what I was going to do with Linda as I was talking out loud. I could have worked with that and seen if she could have come up with anything from the Middle East and started branching out. I have no idea how many retaskings all that would take. But, I mean, it would be an option. But as far as I wanted to do an esoteric target with this group, and rather than, pick some planet from, where V'ger's going, that's why I chose Jesus. At least he was from the seventh sense. You had that, and I think everybody here has read the seventh sense. So they can even pull it up online through Amazon and key in that particular page. But I thought that unless somebody like really honed in on the crucifixion, it would be. And I didn't type on the task aid to do a personality profile. I just put Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I thought there might be all kinds of information that somebody might. I mean, it could be anything from him teaching, or whether or not he was a child or an adult, or his home life. It could be anything. So I just kind of put it out there. We'll see what we get, and we'll have something to talk about. So.
Yeah. For anybody who's here tonight, when I do get the Target of the Week database up, I don't give esoteric targets on the Target of the Week. So I'll be using the date of 10/08, but it will be another target. So, and I have no idea what it's going to be. I haven't done that yet.
Well, you wouldn't tell them anyway.
Oh, that's right. And so you can choose not to do it, or we can use this as another example, another learning situation. And that is, you can go ahead and do that target and then compare the two targets that have the same coordinates and see if there's bleed over back and forth. One of the phenomena of the remote viewing is that, like, if I give you a target today with today's date, and then a year from now I give you another target with the same coordinates, a year from now your subconscious will remember the session you did on today's thing and will mix the two. The phenomena is that when you do your session today, it will also mix in information from a target that you're not going to get for another year. And so I think that's a good idea, to go ahead and do the target. And then when you do it, in fact, when I do it, I'll put in a note that those who did this target should bring that up and do that.
So now that you've introduced that into our conversation, do you think their jumping target's the one that you're going to put up?
That may well be. Like I say, I have no idea what that target's going to be.
I'm going to be on the next plane to Texas, I swear to God.
But like I say, I didn't see anything after about the middle of that first page you did.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this would be, but I will hopefully have forgotten about this by the time I bring up the target for this date.
Yeah, well, since you've now introduced that into the feedback for this target.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. I grabbed, let's see, Janine's. She has one session and a retasking. great form as always. Not that everybody else didn't have great form, just saying. Yep, panoramic view and desert-like.
Very
Looks
good.
like we have some queuing going on here over on the left. Terry's kind of wishing she'd have sent it in so she could have been practicing some retasking. All right, we're in our stage 3 sketch here, and she's setting aside an Indian chief. And we've got a rabbit. It was very clear she made a note. Okay, now we've got some location stuff.
I think she may have let the desert-like situation start building a castle.
Yeah. Her AI of the desert-like.
Where is she from?
Texas.
Oh.
So we'll scroll down through here because I've seen people recover by the time they get to their summary. And then she did go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, people recover.
All right. Rectangular enclosure, maybe low and boards around it. Man-made, there's a small bio and getting like a child's wagon there. She sketched. And
it looks like the sun and water.
That was a very nice sketch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Water river-like flowing between rocks straight out to the setting sun on the horizon. Very nice. All right, and then something that reminds her of a clothesline pole with a T shape or gate, long white gate. She's trying to draw tooled leather resembles a holster. That's that Texan coming out in her, I think. Just make sure, it's no type summary. All right. Target has aspects of natural, land, water, man-made objects, and biological. Natural consisted of flat land, which appeared dry, brown, and arid, and had a wide open field. In the distance, I seemed to perceive a rocky bridge or outcropping of hills or mountains with jagged tops. One of the biologicals appears to be an animal with 4 legs resembling a horse, which seems to have a human rider and was moving swiftly across the open, flat area. So see, she's doing a little bit of recovery here. I mean, if you start going on, Janine's our star pupil for throw the nouns out and pure perceptions. So,
and when you do that, even the worst castle building you've done, when you get rid of the nouns, the good stuff, every castle building has good stuff in it. The good stuff starts coming out. Just dump the nouns.
Resembles a horse. So we've got an animal with 4 legs. There are a few animals with 4 legs out in the Middle East. The temperature was cool with a fresh, earthy smell. Another biological was sitting cross-legged on the ground, seemed to be male. He appeared to have an elaborate headdress, which reminded me of an Indian chief. There seems to be some melodious tones reminding me of a flute. There was a perception of 1 or more small fawn-colored biologicals, which reminded me of rabbits laying quietly at rest. There was also a perception of water, which was straight and river-like and seemed to flow between stones on either side and in a line to a luminous orb in the distance, which I took to be the sun. There were also a series of other impressions. These include the following. There was an impression of being inside a vehicle, such as a car, looking out through the windshield and seeing the centered rearview mirror. There was a perception of someone small, possibly a male child, squatting down in a square area which happened to be enclosed with low wooden boards around it. Adjacent to it was a structure, man-made, possibly framed with a couple of steps between the two. There was a perception of what appeared to be a child's small wagon. I seemed to perceive a T-shaped object, which reminded me of a clothesline pole or perhaps an electrical pole. There was a perception of a long white gate. I had a perception of something which resembled a tooled leather holster. There were also impressions of small biologicals, possibly chickens. Then her retasking.
I really like the way she writes summaries.
All right. On her retasking, I told her to move to the assigned target and include any of all details you may find. In case she was castle building. Triangular structure, wider at the bottom, stick-like protrusions at the top, seems somewhat conical and man-made. And she's kind of stuck on those Native American Indians there. And
you know the problem for Texans in doing this, don't you?
What?
There's only two places in the world. There's Texas and not Texas. I mean, you know, geography is the easiest class in the world for Texans.
Okay, so anybody got a drum roll that they can, like, just chime in and do? I can't make that sound effect.
Bada bing.
Okay, there you go. Okay, now we're kind of fixated on a circle of teepees. And they did do a lot of traveling and walking and moving from place to place. So I'm not saying that they weren't out in the desert, you know, doing some kind of camping. All right, now we're down to the summary. So let's see what she kept. In addition to the previous aspects of the target, during the retasking, I found aspects of objects, biologicals, water, and motion. First object I perceived seemed to be a conical or triangular structure, wider at the bottom with stick-like projections at the top resembling a teepee. My second perception involved a series of these same objects which appeared to be arranged in something of a circle. I had additional perceptions of water which was flowing, energetic, and moving, additional impressions of a biological or biologicals, and an object which appeared to be moving or in motion, possibly traveling. Okay, nothing that alludes to Jesus per se. If you start peeling out the perceptions, there are a fair amount, I think, that would match up with the location of the Middle East.
This brings up a question for me.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen all the biblical stuff and pictures and everything else. Have you ever seen, like, when they go on these caravans and they stop? It always says they stop at an oasis. Well, there's not a hotel there.
Right.
How do they spend the night? Just lay out on the sand, or?
No, I'm sure they probably have some kind of, they have those tents, but, you know, those are modern now compared to, I'm sure you can rent some kind of shelter.
Back in biblical times, how did they overnight out in the desert?
Right.
I've never seen any information on that, except maybe here, here, now.
Good point.
I trust viewers.
I don't think I've ever seen anything museum-wise or read anything about that. You know, cloth would disintegrate. Every now and then, you know, a remnant will pop through or somebody will describe something. I don't think I've ever, but it makes sense. I mean, you know, they're out in the desert and they probably had some kind of sheltering type stuff.
Well, I have seen the pictures of, you know, the Arabs in the tents.
Right.
With the blankets laid out on the floor and all that.
Right.
But you always see the inside of it. You never see the outside.
Well, I've seen some outside ones, but of course they're modern and they look like tents. They look you know, like think of sheiks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe Maybe Janine is teaching us what they actually did. Maybe they had teepee-like structures.
Well, like you say, she's not polluted.
No, that was Terry, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
We moved on since then. But, Janine, you have any questions you'd like to bring up or comments? No. Go ahead. I took your mic off. Yeah, we'll hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm finally live. I'm not going to waffle on this. Obviously, it doesn't seem to say much about Jesus. But I think that what was happening was my subconscious was trying to tell me what it was, because the sun pretty much centered, look at the sun, and also the bunnies. When I was a kid, there was this famous picture of Jesus with the bunny rabbits. And the cross, the T shape is not commonly thought of as the cross, but
the
yes,
T-shape was the cross. The cross that you normally see was really not the cross they used. It was a T-shape.
Yes, and I was thinking, I look at a lot of early things, so I was probably thinking Roman or something like that. So that's possibly were things trying to clue me in, but I was just oblivious to it. And I wanted to comment on something that I found kind of strange, and that was Terry had conical-shaped spikes around a sphere, and I had conical teepees around a circle, which are also very similar shaped.
You're right.
I don't know what that means in either case, but it was strange that those came out very strongly for both of us. I had several impressions of teepees. Yeah, I thought Jerry would see it. It was a strong impression for me, and the way she wrote it up, it appeared to be a strong impression for her as well.
Well, we're traveling in time with this target, and not a whole lot of anything. So unless we have a Middle Eastern scholar here, then we have some history with the land and the desert and the oasis and stuff such as that. So we're a little bit on uncharted ground. So we're just kind of on an adventure tonight. All right, let's see what Michelle got. All righty. I tell you, you guys are all such structured structurists. No chicken scratchers. I'm a chicken scratcher. And she starts pointing out in her session that she's not getting many words, which is unusual for her. And here is she feels like she's high up in a mountainous region, very curvy, east to west, and she's getting tons of stuff that describes the location. Pull in some Native American stuff. Hard to find a straight line and man-made curves. Follow the rounded earth. And vibration of no man's land, like high northern Scotland, as you don't want to be out here when night falls. It's very rugged and no frills. she gets...
Did that a couple of pages back say big band or big bend connection? I think one more, a little bit more.
Okay.
I saw it go by.
All
Looked
right,
like big bend or big band. I couldn't tell which. Well, maybe it was my imagination. No frills, man-made.
Buffer zone. Big land connection.
Big land connection. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, sorry. It's fine. I've gotten so you've drilled me so many times, like go right to the summary, go right to the summary. So I have a really hard time now not going right to the summary to see what they kept.
Yeah. Generally, we go to the summary and then we go back through to see
I know
what was missed. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really drilled it into these guys to put their summary first when they make their report up.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
So, okay. Aquatic, no, something as in lion in winter. We've got some very highly trained biologicals, dedicated on guard round the clock.
Speaking Latin.
Say that actually? Did you say that or did she say that?
I said that.
Okay, because I was going back to I missed that. Where'd she say that?
Sorry about that.
All right, AI, it is right up ahead of me. I am curious and eager to sketch. Feels pristine and peaceful to her. Facing northeast.
I have a general policy. When somebody makes a note that they are curious and eager, I pay attention to what comes next. That's an analyst. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Pay attention to what comes next. Yeah.
Okay. We're paying attention. And she's referring back to the beginning of the session where road image was high up. Many trees below, formation rugged, rocky, mossy. My ears are popping. So she marks an X on here. I started out here. Funny thing, just now I felt the dragging pull of a car struggling. I'm amused by this sensation as I have not been aware that I am in a vehicle. So is this to help inform me of altitude? Nice thought. Or I allow myself into a base 141008 vehicle. Gear shifting truck, old well used, tall soft back, oily rubbery hoses, rusty metal boxes, bags of cement, funnels, and sawhorses. This is just where I have drawn it. I wrote it at my X on the road in a feeling, tell you the exhaust smell, rough sand, not technically where I saw it.
These analytic notes and comments like this are like gold. Anybody who has a thought and doesn't write it down is just missing, is just missing a lot. This is beautiful work here. I mean, it's fantastic.
And even if it's a castle, you're still making the notes of what you're thinking, so it's still going to be of huge benefit when you close this out and look back, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And, whether you're on or off, even the fact that what you're thinking is huge and that you've got it documented. Target is a target, describe the target. That looks kind of like an alien to me, but anyway. I know, it looks like a cell, that's what I meant.
It looks like a map.
Yeah, I'm sure she's up in the air looking down. I think. What do I know? I'm keeping an open mind. I have too much Ebola on my mind today. It looked like a bug. Right, mammoth structure, about 10 stories high. Wall-like in holding function. This part seems to west of main target, man-made. Tugboat shaped, low, strong, man-made. Larger lower section houses the guts of the system, air blowing like industrial fans, large, noisy generator vibrations. Earplugs are necessary. Purpose, harnessing energy and resources for distribution. Now, I know you're going to think that this is pretty farm out, but when she, even symbolically, Jesus was a pretty powerful person, left a lot of lasting impressions. And, he energizes people in his own way, conceptually. So, whether, and I'm not feeding into what she's saying, I'm just kind of looking at it and she's all about the man-mades and stuff at the moment, but I thought just tucking that thought away. I don't think it's going to pan out, but I did have it, and I tucked it away just in case. Target has aspects of land, man-made space, motion, biologicals, and water. Land was of a high altitude in the northwest region, gentle sloping from the middle area to the east places this target southeast. The land is high, mounded in shape, with the right side higher than the left. Earth is dark and rich with green, lush covering. Nice summary. Land has a natural high curve that protects this target. Cool, moist, outdoorsy, natural, picturesque, thickly wooded, foggy, cloud-covered. Area of land is a small town, pocked, mining, troubled with a vibrant Native American culture. It is smoky. Lynn, you want to discuss like Native American culture versus ethnicity versus dark skin versus, do you have any comment about that?
Well, basically, excuse me, basically, you'll find a lot of times where, like viewing the Kurds and so on, they'll say Native American culture or Native Indians or something like that. And basically, it's because very few people have indigenous as a common word in their vocabulary. And so the closest thing that comes to mind is just Native Americans, if they live in the U.S., or in the Americas. But, if they live somewhere else, then it would naturally be, Ainu or something like that for the Japanese, something like that. But that's very common.
It is smoky from fires and industry. The land is humbly formed and rugged with no frills. Time seems slow here. It is electronically quiet. The land feels like a buffer zone. Man-made was a high-walled, long expanse of smooth concrete. It is cool to the touch. It looks cream or pale yellowish. High up of the man-made, there are cutouts that look dark and rectangular. This man-made is special in its connection to the land. It is considered a feat of wonder. It is engine roomed and lock attached. Summary continued. The man-made is complex formatted, as in there are many connected parts strewn far apart, yet connected through the mechanics of harnessing nature. Part of the man-made is straight lined with a high walkway. It is plain and fortressy. However, the inside houses an elaborate system. There are chunky stairs, large steel wheels, gizmoed, that's a good word, gizmoed with a clinking sound of metal knocking and stopping in the group. There's a siren system. Of importance inside main man-made is a long-lit museum-type panel showing history of work being done. Sound ricochets like a cave. Words conjunction seem important. This place is of high function with the work focused on a high science application of the most basic natural world. The man-made is gated, security checked, elaborately lit by straight long strips. There is a serious feeling of attention. The shape of the man-made is almost Zuni inline construction, and the material, almost feels adobe. This place is off by itself, almost hidden in nature, the high chain link metal fences that are in several layers. The space is about quantity and quality. Managing, projecting, calculating, rhythmic balancing, regulating, charting changes, power to the people, holding something, writing, waiting to be distributed. The space is encompassing nature's bounty. It is a majestic point of interest. There's a high command in charge of authority and science technology. Steady as you go is a phrase that I heard at this point in phase 2, page 6. Also, attention drawn away from here as strategy, page 7. Or P7. Motion was of filling up, holding, letting out, patterned on necessity, business-driven, water-geared, large, mechanically steered. Also, the motion was repairing and upkeep. Teamed units are sent to the great outdoors. Main motion is of energy building, and a special drying system for inner technology is most advanced. Biologicals were male, hard-hatted, jump-suited, stability-focused, chains of command guide the controlling of the resources. They are safety navigators. They are on guard more from hackers than actual physical breaches. They are highly trained and very conscientious. The biologicals are dedicated on guard round the clock. The water at this target is a large, high lake with winding finger attachments. Layering, and that's that sketch, okay. Layering in descent, creating a cascading tributary system. Water was running off and running down. The highest held water was the widest, deepest, and coldest. There seemed to be problems lower and further out in this water system due to neglect. Okay. Then let's take a peek at her retasking. And I just kept her on target and moved her there because I wasn't sure, there was nothing that I could pick up, tons of locational stuff. I didn't pick up anything on Jesus. So I moved her to the assigned target and told her to go back at it. 4 square shapes and round flat bottom, big round full circles. Unusual for me to be getting so many shapes with little or no words coming. Fanned out like turkey feathers. Then we've got Janine and her Indian there. So I just thought that the shape was all. Sorry, the shape similarity. And then she's got this ball that seems like a circular top and stemmed in the center. And I saw a toy with spring-like action, and when it says mine was a frog, that you would click down and wait. And got a wedge, and up and down or retract. Felt floor like it's on holding something up. Like a futuristic train coming to a stop. And lots of power, but light and graceful, mechanically sophisticated. Tank-like. Thought this was a nice structure. Feels tall, angular, long slab, tan cream yellow, open centered connector piece. Inverted, hollow, circular shapes inside. And sporadically placed, horizontal alignment, and higher top band area. And then Strake had a steel covered door with a large wheel attached. And she came back and wrote a summary for her retasking. The little note, feeling a bit bewildered and now embracing the manual, Lynn and Teresa on why it is best to wrap up the session with a summary. Well, that was a pretty mega session. You might have needed to just take a walk. Probably always at time of. Lynn always recommends, but so she's moved back to the assigned target.
Can I
Yep.
inject a little there? We found over time that generally, and generally is the operant word here, you do your purest summary right at the end of your session, you know, right when you finish the end of your session.
Right.
That's not true for everybody. The problem that most people have if they don't do their summary immediately is they will spend the next day or so thinking about it and building castles after the session. And those castles get into their summary. Now, the person who does not write their summary at the end, but writes their summary by going back through their session, seeing what is still accurate, what still believes, what they still experienced and all that, and doesn't keep trying to build castles, that's fine. So what we generally found is that most viewers are going to build castles if you give them a chance to. And so that's why we required the session the summary right at the end of the session. But that's not true of everybody. If you do your summary correctly by going back through, then it really doesn't matter that much. And a lot of people find that that way is not only better for them because they're not as tired, but they get more accuracy too. So you just have to try it. Try it all different ways and see what works best for you.
All right, so purpose, she has retro look back, celebration of technology, and summary, the target has aspects of man-made motion. Man-made was split into 4 square shapes that have a present-like quality. Present-like appear to be as colorful ribbon and bow on 4 oversized boxes. Near this man-made are long fabric, as in nylon or ripstop colored panels. Yellow to the left, purple to the right. There is a white modular shape that is futuristic in design, has properties of chair-type things. This white modular shape is secured by a round flat bottom. There's a big round full circle attached. It's kind of nice to have a sketch of that. Then man-made of this target will have something with long horizontal whitish panels that fan out like turkey feathers. Teacup handlish seems noteworthy. Again, I believe in reference to the bottom of my first page, I continue to describe a wide circular base, flat, platformy, man-made, with a tall stemmed fixture center, large half circular top as in a ball cut in half. Another aspect of this man-made is the shape of a stable wedge, broad movable expanse that interacts by either zooming close to the wedge, shape up or down, or retracts. This broad movable expanse felt floor-like as in holding something up. An air sound in the mechanics is like a futuristic train coming to a stop. And then she's got shh or something like that. So much power with very light, gentle, almost graceful movement. There's a mechanical sophistication at work here. It seems tank-like in function as in its holding and moving. Lastly, is in an inverted hollow circular shapes inside. They're sporadically placed, horizontally aligned, that's a new word, horizontally aligned with a higher top band area. And that's it. She's got her notes and everything listed at the bottom.
And those notes listed at the bottom like that of all the list of stray cats and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Once again, that is great. Wish I could get everybody to do that.
They're a good bunch, aren't they?
They really are, yeah.
Because I think all my students do that.
I've always said that you judge any teacher by what their students can do.
Well, let's just say that I think all of them borderline on, I don't know what else to say other than anal retentive. That's maybe.
Well, let me give you an assessment of your. Let me give you an assessment.
They have great structure, don't they?
Yeah.
All of them. All of them.
Let me give you an assessment of your teaching, okay?
Okay.
I brag on your students.
Thank you. I tell you, when I go through consistently, look at all these guys. They have structure down. We haven't even gotten to Bob yet. He'll be the same way. All of them. They wanted to have the manual first. None of them wanted to dive into anything until they had that manual down. And I was like, okay, we'll see you when we see you, you know. And then they started. It wasn't like being at your house at the kitchen table. It's like, okay, I got to go study this manual. And so anyway, all of them. And I tell you, for Michelle, sometimes you remember when Michelle started out. I mean, we were lucky to get 3 pages out of her. She couldn't focus. It was like she's not a mega caffeine person, but man, she could not hang with this. She could not look at all this data.
This is amazing, yeah.
This is like one of the most prolific sessions of hers I think I have ever seen. I'm just kind of sorry that it's an esoteric target, you know, that we don't have a whole bunch of stuff we can be looking at pictures and comparing. But so anyway, Michelle, I've been looking over to see if you wanted to type anything in. You can always key up your mic. Lynn, thanks for all your kind words for all of us. We appreciate that so much, especially no more often than we get together, you know. It's not like we're out here beating it every week. So anyway, anybody want to chime in about anything? Bob, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
I've been to masses before, Catholic masses, with it they call the tabernacle or the monstrance is brought down the aisle by the priest. And Terry's description of well, it was the monstrance. I mean, if I was sitting there and I didn't know what was going on, what the target was, I would have known after I saw that, where she described the hands reaching out to touch it. The whole thing was just a perfect description of what a benediction looks like in the Catholic Mass, and I just thought I'd
in this session or Terry's session?
In Terry's session.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so perfectly clear to me because I've experienced a Catholic Mass before and a benediction. They do it at healing masses as well, where the priest will come down the aisle holding the Blessed Sacrament high above his head, and the parishioners reach out to touch it, and sometimes the priest will bring it to the parishioners to touch and to kiss and to worship. I just thought I'd comment on that.
Oh, that's pretty good because we have at least 2 Catholics in the crowd. And so,
great job.
Thank you for that commentary.
Sure, anytime.
Carrie says, thank you, Robert. I'm going to have to look that up. And what was it called? Can you type that in so maybe she...
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's called a benediction.
Okay.
The Mass is benediction Mass.
Okay, is it the benediction during the Mass or the actual Mass is called that? It's special?
I think it's specially called a benediction. They use it at healing masses.
The benediction is the part of the service, though. What was it that you were saying is carried by the priest? What is the name of that?
The Eucharist?
It's called either a tabernacle or a monstrance, and it houses the Blessed Sacrament, which is the Eucharist. The tabernacle or monstrance is a big, spiky, gold-colored, heavy object that houses the Eucharist in the middle center of it.
Is that, did I spell that correctly?
I'll have to look at the...
Yeah. I can't roam around and Google at this point. I don't want to lock the computer up.
Yeah,
bad history with that.
That's interesting. I'll look it up too.
Okay. Okay. Then, okay, so that leaves you, Bob. And we have 8 pages. And you know, I must admit, I don't think hardly any of you guys actually get early ideograms. Your structure is just so, you know, look at that, Lynn, and that's the way they all do it. It's not that I teach them to do that either. I teach them about early ideograms and aerograms and all that.
Good. It's not really a problem because, you know, basically the ideogram and stage 1 are to get the main gestalts. And if you're really paying attention to things as they come in later in the session, a lot of other gestalts come in later rather than in phase 1. And so generally, phase 1 has 2 main purposes. One is to get you in touch with the target, and the other is to give you something to cue with later. You know, I mean, if you go into stage 2 and you don't have anything to cue with, then, you know, you got a problem. But those are basically the 2 main reasons for stage 1 is to get you your initial contact and to give you something to cue with.
Okay, moving right along. Red, quiet sounding, echoey, wood smell, farming, earthy, agricultural, and it's bright. And then we've got
Okay.
you go ahead.
Can I say something right there? I didn't see what he had for his gestalts up in phase 1, but right here,
structure and biological, and another biological, and motion.
okay. And then he comes up and says even alignment with land. See, another gestalt just popped into the session.
Land.
Yeah. And what you find is that with everybody, with all remote viewers, you may have 3 or 4 gestalts in your stage 1, but if you pay close attention, you'll find out that other major gestalts sometimes, you may get your minor gestalts in phase 1 just to get in touch with the target, and then the major ones come later in your session. And as a viewer, you have to really be aware of that, because the minute a major gestalt or a new gestalt comes in, hey, that opens up a whole new part of the target for you. And so it's very important to watch for these gestalts, especially if you do sort of a bare bones phase 1. But this is good. And doing a bare bones phase 1, no problem.
Well, I usually encourage them to take coordinates at least 3 times to get sight contact. I tell them you take them all day if you want to. You'll never get anything else done in life if you do.
Yeah.
But try for at least 3.
It's a good idea.
Even if you get compound, complex, that way hopefully you got some decent sight contact. And I tell them 5 if you want. But if you're getting repeating stuff, just move on. And
yeah, and of course then you have the 10-pager club too,
Yeah.
For those who don't know what the 10-pager club is, you take the coordinates and do an ideogram, and it makes no sense, whatever, or you don't do an ideogram. You just take the coordinates. Nothing happens, no ideogram. And you do that for 10 pages before you get your first ideogram. That's your membership into the 10-pager club.
All right, Mr. Lynn, look at these 3: expansive in measurement, hillside position, even alignment with land surface. Kind of looks to me like we're getting some dimensionals coming in here.
And there's a conceptual there too, farming concept.
Yep. And human composition. AI, I'm at the site. This was an eco-friendly, and peaceful, productive place, and he likes it. Oh, now anybody who want to play the lottery here? There you go.
Good going there, Teresa. There you go.
I know. I'm in remedial rotation. What can I say? You know me. I have a rep for doing everything backwards. Now, why should this be any different? Okay. Move to the target and sketch it. Tons of stuff. Land is green, brown, natural, earthy, surface for hilly, structured, dense, and firm. And we've got a bio 2 that's human composition, worker, ambiance, everybody's doing the agricultural here. Ambiance, nurturing ambiance, caring meaning. And bio 1, more than just one, group pattern, small in size, nurturing ambience. So we've got them up here and here. Hilly, green, grassy, firm texture, earthy. And structures red, white, farm-like. Kind of got a little barn thing going there. production purpose, nurturing ambiance. I was almost expecting a manger to be popping through here at some point. No babies crying. Boxy, wide, low to the ground, barn-like. Okay, so we're having more of the same. Loft, farm, and barn, all in.
You know, a lot of the stuff you see about biblical times and all, they have barren desert and, you know, a city of, what, 10,000 people living out in the desert and not a tree in sight and all that. And, you know, what were there Walmart trucks bringing food to them? They had to grow their own food. And what people don't realize is that you add a little water to the desert, and it's really good at growing things. And therefore, a lot of the little towns and villages had, were built on creeks, rivers, mainly rivers and things like that.
Have a little mixing here of perceptions because we've got describing the motion of the concept. So he's kind of mixed in here some bending, lifting, grouping, shepherding. Shepherding is a concept. It could be a physical action as well. Careful, he's the viewer and he's in charge of his session. What can I say? Authoritative, caring, watchful, securing. I know you're all holding your breath, aren't you? I did it. All right, target has aspects. He has a retasking too. Aspects of biological 1 and 2, man-made structure and motion. Stopped and took a drink there for 4 whole minutes. There are more than one biologicals which are in a group pattern, small in size, nurtured ambiance associated with them. Their coloring is mostly white, and he did have a stray cat up there, ducks. Quiet sounding, smooth and soft, clean smelling, 10 feet in front of the bios. They're conceptually caring, working, nurturing, and gentle from the same distance, quiet sounding, enjoying their work with amiable emotion, tall size and thin shape. From 10 feet in front of the other biologicals, number 2, they are tangibly in a group, yet with an ambiance of separation. Concepts associated with them are together and nurtured. They are animal-like in tangible quality with white coloring and cool in temp. Their dimensional shape is rounded and oval. There are further concepts of formed and fragile related with them. Land at the target site is green, brown, and naturally colored. There is an earthy ambiance with a dense, firm surface texture that serves as a foundation for a hilly, mound-like shaped structure. Man-made structure is positioned and evenly aligned on the hilly, mound-like structure. This man-made structure is mainly red in coloring and with white as well. Farm-like and nurturing ambience related with it for purpose of production. Mostly quiet sounding with echoing at times. There are wood smells and an earthy taste related with it. Concept associated with it is farming with an agricultural meaning that is also ecological. Sharp, bright, luminous to the man-made. It is expansive in overall measurement, boxy in shape from the exterior, wide in width and low in height in relation with the ground surface. Appears barn-like with concept of ecological, agricultural, and production-related smell within relationship, purpose, and use. As I moved inside the structure, there's grassy, hay-like smell and machinery sounds present. Its interior is soft-like. Its dimension is open in composition. Beam-like tangibles related with it and concepts of business and production. Motion of biologicals are conceptually bending, lifting, grouping, shepherding, careful, authoritative, caring, watchful, and securing. Motion of biological 2 are conceptually wobbling, sometimes still, shifting, and contained. gets a strong impression that neither of these two sets of bios are human in composition. Now, he contradicts himself because in session he did say they're human in composition. Now, in his summary, he's decided otherwise.
You always go with the summary.
Right. Oops. Sorry. Changes. Oh, I did make. No, I don't want to save those. Sorry. All right. So retasking, move to the assigned target and describe, because I'm still not seeing anything that looks to me like Jesus. Maybe a whole bunch of stuff about where Jesus lived. So move to the assigned target and describe. Include any all details you may find.
Just a note
Yeah.
is that most beginning viewers will do locations, and I think that may be an artifact of the training that we give, because we can feed back on locations, so we give a lot of locations. And I think viewers get into the habit of
site contact first.
Of site contact, location contact first.
Right.
Mainly because that's what we give them.
Yeah. You have a good point there.
Yeah, that's our fault, not theirs, you know.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, though, and they're not in the unit, and they all have, you know, things they have to do during the day, and this is not something that they clock in every morning and do. So.
Yeah, well, you know, a major part of our work in the military unit was locations.
Yeah.
And a major part of, well, Ingo, in all of his training, would give a geographic coordinate first. You describe the location and then you branch out from there. So there's a history of that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is.
Back to the chickens and eggs here. Rounded and oval shape and little. I'm at the site and I'm watching a process, and it's interesting. Why? You know, why? All right. And this is busy. Here in number 2, bio number 2, related with bios number 1, derived from nature larger than bio 1, poultry ambiance and nutritious purpose. Bio 1, group close together, sort of fixated on the same stuff that we got in the first session. All right, lots of livestock. Oh, now we're expanding on the ducks. Oh, brick-like, that's new. Business, modern structure, rectangular, boxy. Oh, he's actually got JR, business and sign. Introducing some glass and steel. Okay. Well, target has aspects of biological, other biological structure, and other structure and motion. I'm going to skim this. Purpose of processing food, meaning nutritious. Pretty much the same description as his first session. This set of biologicals, I can report they are related with bio number 1 in a genetic structure. Oh, so now are we talking like geese and ducks? Poultry ambiance with a nutritious purpose behind it. Chattering and quacking chicken-like sounds. Government regulated and approved. But are they GMO? All right, now he's describing the processing that happens in that structure. So we have a lot of agricultural stuff going on here. In a safe manner. An important purpose of sterility related with it. Bios are free yet contained in their grouping. And there's some feeding, nurtured, careful, and professional manner. So we've got some conceptuals and purpose. Okay, so in the end, lots of location stuff. Not anyone got what I would clearly say is Jesus. Any comments, discussion, thoughts?
Well, basically, if if a viewer is not accustomed to doing personality assessments, they're generally not going to do one, and that does take generally kind of specialized training. And we keep telling them, don't get sucked into a person, don't get sucked into a person, and all that.
Yeah.
And so I think the difficulty with doing a personality assessment is also an artifact of the way we teach. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because it can be dangerous to get sucked into a person.
Right.
So I'm not sure I would expect, a personality assessment. I really wish that when I had been tasked with Jesus, I had not been tasked with a personality assessment. That I had been tasked with a in-depth plans and intentions is what we called it, plans and intentions, where you do a totally in-depth one. Because just the session that I had as a personality assessment, I mean, shoot, that changed my life. And so this was a good introduction, I think, to for the viewers, for the knowledge that there is such a thing as personality assessment, and that people can be targets in and of themselves without getting sucked into the person. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did this.
Well, me too. Just because it gives us the opportunity to talk about a whole lot of stuff that we don't normally talk about, and and brings up. I know Angela Smith talks about when she gives her students, she'll give them people, and she'll usually choose celebrities just because they're they are public figures. With a lot of feedback.
The public image is not the person.
Good point. There's usually a fair amount of information out about them. So I know she will actually do, some targets that are people-oriented, focused solely. So anyway, like I said, Jesus is esoteric, and I kind of thought I would see some sessions that what Jesus meant to each person, possibly, especially a couple of the folks who were here. But I didn't see that either. So I don't. It seemed like I might have had one other comment, but yeah, because you're the viewer, you're in charge of your session. If they had any, preconceived or knowledge of or feelings about him, or what they knew of him, what he meant to them. I really thought I might see a little of it. I didn't. So, but anyway, Teresa, how do we know which Jesus we were tasked with? Are you talking adult versus child?
Or Jesus that lives down the street, yeah.
Tasker's intent? Customer question?
Yeah, generally when you give Jesus as the tasking, everybody knows it is the one person, human,
right?
Jesus.
Right. No, it couldn't be. Terry says no, it couldn't be anybody, right? No, like Lynn just said, it was meant to be, the historical Jesus in the Bible.
And of course, one of the problems is that Jesus wasn't his real name.
Are we going to start branching out into Issa now?
Into what?
ISSA. That's one of his names. Which name are you referring to? Yeshua?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Okay.
His Jewish name, yeah.
Terry's question. So it's whoever the tasker was intending then, is that how it works?
That's what you wind up with. In a lot of remote viewing cases is the tasker's intent, and then you have to, many times, remote view the actual target in spite of the tasker's intent. So you never let the tasker's intent rule your session. It's just a sort of a finger pointing toward the real target.
Yeah, and just for the feedback, for the tasking, I could say, tell me, describe the historical person, Yeshua, or I fumbled through that, but
Yeshua ben Yosef, yeah.
That's the same thing in operations, Terry. The tasker forms the question that is, being asked about the target. The same thing in practice.
Yeah, and many times, the policeman, a detective will say, I want a description of the man who abducted this child. And maybe it was the mother who just left with the child, Maybe the child wasn't abducted at all, but the detective will color it with their own intent. And as a remote viewer, you always have to say, if the tasker really knew the answer, they wouldn't need me to remote view. and so you have to kind of blow past the tasker's intent to get to the real target, probably close to 90% of the time. The tasker will task you with what they think rather than just, the pure target itself. And as a remote viewer, you have to blow past that and go to the target.
That's really interesting, she said.
And, well, what's really interesting is when you blow past their intent and you actually get the target and you come back with your answer and it's the real thing, you're going to be faced with somebody who doesn't want it to be that. It's a tricky game.
Yeah, I tell you, it's setting up tasking on questions for the subconscious. Now that is some, I forget what I just emailed to you a couple weeks ago about that. That's like the most mega, I don't know how I worded it.
You have to learn how to speak subconscious ease if you're going to be a project manager. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like outfoxing the smartest fox that ever was, just to get that, to find that window and make it through there. So.
Yeah, what most people don't realize is their subconscious, even of a low IQ person, the subconscious mind is amazingly smart and amazingly fast. And a project manager has got to learn how to speak subconscious ease.
Yep, it's, I'd say, just sorting through stuff. It's okay. Nope, that won't work. Nope, that won't work. Okay, this is probably better. But anyway. Okay, 9:41. Does anybody have anything else they would like to talk about or bring up? I don't think, no, not since we got together. I made the trip to Knoxville, which you all may have heard about by now, and made remote viewing history. Presented control remote viewing at a nursing conference. It was Martha Rogers was a nursing theorist who had a grand theory of paranormal phenomena, and everybody just shakes their head and clucks, and like, this is really, there's something to this. We know there is, but you just can't collect any data on it. I said, well, yes, you can. And it took me 10 years, but I got her done with the help of my friends. And went down there, and they're actually in advanced practice now. They're teaching about quantum, and those folks are on board. And even some people that I work with who are in advanced nursing practice, it's like, we just learned about that kind of stuff just last week. And I had forgotten that they're teaching that, not remote viewing, but it like dovetails in. And so anyway, we got continuing education credits for the very first time ever, to my knowledge, for controlled remote viewing in the world of nursing. And so I have plans to move forward with that and get some stuff published. And my goal has always been, the more minds that are involved, then the more ideas come, and then the more, it just starts that ball rolling. And that's always been my goal. And I'm only one person, and I can't certainly put some huge data collecting project together. We need a community of viewers who can help do it, and we need people out there who are interested in having it done. And I was talking about it to a friend of mine who's a physician, and said, because he said, when did you start? And I said, 10 years ago. And it's been just one big hard push. And he said, so you got pushed hard and you got it done in 10 years, or you took your time in 30 years and maybe wouldn't have gotten it done at all. So there's where we are today, and I would like to announce that there is a poster that has been printed and signed and will be in the mail to you. Your gift. It's 36 by 48, and by the time it should be in your hands within 2 weeks, maybe sooner.
You being who?
You being you.
Oh, thank you. By the way, I got cookies from Iran, and I got the 2 videotapes that you sent of the conference things, and I'll put them on DVD for you.
Thank you. They've only been here for several years, and I never did watch them. But there are some people here who were on that poster, Michelle and Janine. Both have sessions on the poster that made history, and I would like to thank you guys sincerely for that. I don't know if you really have any idea. I don't want to talk about it a lot just yet, But I don't know if you have any idea of what this means or what you helped do to help move humanity forward and us as a species forward. Yeah, wow, really.
It is a real major step, and it's one of those that will sort of be done in silence, and yet it's like a seed planted in the ground. And I mean, this is a major, major thing to get the, well, you know, everything in the medical field is the physical part. And people are finally realizing, hey, no, it's not.
Well, there's been a lot of work in nursing toward intuition, and we know it, we teach it, we accept it, but to get actual hands-on physical data, before control remote viewing, you had empirical data. You had people giving their relatings and their accounts and their analogies and their storytellings. Control remote viewing is a data collection process that is controlled, it is structured, it has protocols, it was scientifically researched.
And
so
therefore,
that is...
Yeah, and therefore it becomes something that, you know, all of a sudden you've grown a big elephant in the room.
And that in the nursing world is called praxis, Praxis. Because at Stanford, at SRI, they actually took theory and developed the structure and the protocols and moved it into application and used it. And before I could get that entire sentence out, the looks of the nurses' faces were, I said, they have praxis. Their eyes already told me they were on it. They knew. I presented there in 2011 and didn't have anything even an eighth as good to show or explain or illustrate. This one, by the way, they are talking, and I don't know if this will come to pass, but one of the organizers asked if we could possibly come back, if I could come back next year, maybe, you know, demonstrate. It's really structured as far as the 2.5-day conference. I don't think that they have the time or focus to dedicated to watch me do a dog and pony show. What I would like to think about is possibly having a process where maybe the first evening, you know, even having an online go-to-meeting environment, just get some folks who are willing to be on standby or say, hey, I can do this and I'll be around or whatever. Anyway, have those guys, and it would take a little educating on my part, but have them choose a target, and so that it is like under somebody's wing and they're in charge of it, and I don't know what it is, and we send the coordinates out to some folks and say, okay, you've got a day and a half to get these back to me at whatever hotel. It's supposed to be up by Chicago. Get these back to me in the email, and then we will either have you guys in go to meeting, you know, like be present or not, so that they could all see you, you exist, you're real people, you talk, you or type, or you're not just, you know, some made up fairy tale. You're real people. And so then somehow address the sessions that get sent back in. So all that was just thrown out as to me doing a dog and pony show, and I know that they don't have time for that. So well, I was trying to do something.
Yeah, you know, anytime anybody asks me for a dog and pony show, I take a pen and paper, hand it to them, and say, okay, here's your dog and pony show. When I do a session well, they can say, boy, he is good.
I know.
When they do a session well, they say, oh, this works.
Right, I know. But they will not have the time to focus on that. So I'm trying to figure out something, and anything, it'll be an inroad, you know. So by then we'll hopefully get 2 or 3 articles published anyway, and I'm already getting folks in emails going, where is this article? I need to see it. You know, I need to. Anyway, I have a little work to do.
You have a lot of work to do. The thing is, you're up to it and you're capable. So it's in good hands.
Thanks, boss. Okay, so I wanted to thank you guys. The people who are on that poster, I needed to have control of the images, like permission to publish, et cetera, and to get sessions that people could actually just walk up and see. They weren't vague, they weren't fuzzy. I mean, the actual session sketches looked like the photos, So I have Aveline and Janine's famous viewing of the Urbana coffee shop, and I have Michelle viewing the Poland, the salt mine, and I did use that as far as fair use for teaching. So it's not like I'm, reprinting it in a book and it was an educational facility. So those were real spot-on sessions, and then I have Ron with his power plant up in Canada, and then the two that you gave me permission to use from the teaching program of the Kursk and Tower of the Rock. Is that right? Dome of the Rock. Dome of the Rock.
Did you need Mike Shenaberry to sign something on that? Or was that the one, are you talking about the one where he built the,
right.
He actually built the model of the Kursk and didn't know what it was?
And that was from your training manual, which gave me permission to, it says right on there that we could use it. So yeah. I ran with it from your training manual.
All right, good deal.
So anyway, we made history on October 7th, 2014.
Good deal.
Thanks, everybody. All right, Terry, that's a huge leap. Teresa, congratulations. Also, I learned something new every time I join in. Really appreciate it. Thank you both, and good night. And with that, I think we are going to close here. And thanks, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Bob's congratulating both of us and all of us who are present. But anyway, we ain't stopped and we ain't stuck. There you go.
Very good. If you ain't stopped yet, you ain't stuck yet.
Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. And don't forget, we have another target. I know what it is. I don't actually have it on the physical paper yet. So like saying with coordinates, so don't work your session for a day or two, and we will see you in a month.
Thank you, Teresa, and thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Good night.